हुक्मे होमन आकार हुक्म न केहा जाई हुक्मे होमन जी हुक्म मिलै वड्याई हुक्मे उत्तम नीच हुक्म लिख दुख सुख पाइयै.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to lesson 11 for the Gurbani Study Volume 2 Japji Sahib course. So now we're going to start going over the second Pauri. And if you recall from last week, from the previous lesson, we began talking about the idea of hukam. And just to refresh everyone's memory, hukam consists of two parts. First of all, you have hukam in terms of God's own order, his events that he does. He commands, for example, someone is born in this world, someone dies, there's a hurricane, someone gets married, anything like that. That's his hukam, that's his order, that's his command. He commands something, it happens, he's in full control. That is one part of hukam. And the second part of hukam, which as I mentioned before, is the one that's often more neglected by people, is the idea that he commands us to follow a certain set of values and principles. And those values and principles are found in Gurbani. For example, as Sikhs, the hukam for us is to do seva, for example, to do kirtan, to do our nitnem, to treat people equally and be honest and keep our rehet and avoid intoxicants and be kind to each other. These are all part of Guru Sahib's hukam for Sikhs. So again, there's two parts. There's just the event part where certain events happen in this world that he commands. That's through his hukam, his order, his will. And the second part is he orders us and commands us to act and think in a certain way, following his value system. So in the first line, I want to point to the second part, hukam na keha jai, literally meaning, God and his hukam cannot be understood. And this is something that on first glance, you might say, okay, that's fine, I can't understand it. But this bothers a lot of people because a lot of us have egos that say, you know what, I'm a smart person. I go to a great school. I got into the honors program. I got A's in tough classes. I can understand difficult concepts. Why can't I understand this? Why can't I understand hukam? That bothers people. Why can't I understand this? And, a person can try and try and try to understand hukam, but as Guru Nanak says here, it's not possible to fully understand it. We will learn about it. We will learn what Guru Nanak says about it, but to think that, hey, I can have a complete control and understanding over all aspects of hukam, that's not possible. And as a result, we have to rely more on faith, believing that hukam is for the best. That's what Gurbani says, instead of trying to comprehend every small aspect of it. Now, a good analogy here, and I hope people don't find this offensive, but this is used in several authors, and several authors use this in their books. It's not my example. But, imagine if a kindergartner goes to his or her teacher and says, you know what, please explain to me differential calculus. And the teacher, would look at the student and say, why, what are you saying? And the student will say, the kindergartner says, no, I want to understand differential calculus. I hear it's a complicated thing, but I want to try to understand it. I think I can handle it. The teacher would say, you know what, even if I were to tell you what differential calculus is and how it works, there's no way you could understand it. Because in order to understand calculus, you first have to understand regular counting, know your numbers, then addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, algebra, geometry. You have to work your way up to calculus. You can't just jump ahead and learn calculus as a kindergartner. So similarly, when we ask questions such as, why did this tsunami happen? Why did this person die? What was the reason behind this person's birth? We ask these questions of hukam. Why did hukam command that this earthquake happened? Why did hukam command that this happened and that happened? We are like the kindergartner asking the Guru questions like that. Explain me this event. Explain me how hukam caused this to happen or didn't cause this to happen. It chose to not do this. Explain that to me. We are spiritually in preschool. And once we rise up spiritually, as we become closer to the Guru over time, by connecting to the Shabad, by doing kirtan and meditation and seva, keeping rehet, and going on that spiritual journey, as we get closer and closer to the Guru, we will begin to understand hukam. But at this point, we are simply in the beginning stages and we cannot understand it. We have to have faith and accept it the way it is. And a lot of people, when I say this in class, they immediately get a little bit all flustered and say, you know what, I can't do that, Angad. I can't just accept something blindly. And again, this is our Western education bias talking that says that that this is bad. And I say, really, you can't accept things blindly. Really, every single thing, you need to know the details of why something's happening. You never just, accept someone's advice and just leave it at that. You always question everything. And they're like, yeah, that's how we've been taught to live. That's how our teachers or professors teach us. And I'm like, really? So when you fly in a plane, for example, let's say you're flying from LA to New York, and you're flying, and you guys have seen in the little TV screens behind you, a lot of times there's a flight map channel. And in that, there's information on the altitude of the plane, the speed of the plane, the direction. Do we sit and watch that nonstop and question the pilot saying, why are we flying at 36,000 feet? I think 35,000 would be better. You know what? Let me go talk to the pilot. Let me try to get hold of him or ask the flight attendant to talk to him, because I really want to know right now, why is this pilot flying at 36,000 and not 35,000 feet? Do we ask that? Do we ask, why is a pilot flying at 500 miles per hour, not 550 miles per hour? No, we have faith in the pilot, in the plane. We think, the pilot went to flying school. He has a lot of experience flying. And, we just trust the pilot, and we sit back and we relax and we do what we want in the plane, and the plane lands. We don't question the pilot, do we? We don't try to find every small detail and demand answers. We have faith in the pilot. When we go to a restaurant, we have faith in the chef, in the restaurant management, that whatever they're putting in our food is clean and is not going to make us sick. We don't walk into the kitchen and check everything first before eating. We have faith in the chef. We have faith in the restaurant that they're not going to make us sick. So as a result, if we can trust pilots and chefs and many other people in our lives, if we go to a car mechanic, many of us, including myself, I don't know the inner details of how car engines work. And, I go to my mechanic or the dealership, and I trust them, that I have faith that when they tell me we fixed your problem, that, yeah, I think they fixed it. I don't question them. Hey, show me, open the hood and explain me every small thing you did. What screw you put here? What oil you put there? Most of us don't ask those questions. We have faith in those that are fixing our cars, because we ourselves don't know that knowledge. So we can trust all of these people in society, I would say even blindly. Then why is it so difficult for us to put that faith in the Guru? Why is it that we can accept all these other people without question, but when it comes to accepting our Guru, suddenly every question comes up, and we have a hard time accepting anything without some sort of argument, without some sort of, command or demand of explanation. So I want to point out here that the Guru says very clearly, hukam cannot be understood. And if you can't accept that you will not be able to understand this, it'll be very difficult for you to move spiritually forward. So if this is a problem, please try to work on it. Please try to admit and accept the fact that you will not be able to understand hukum fully without rising spiritually in the first place. In the second line, I want to point out the second part. So hukmi hovan ji hukum mile vadiyai. Hukam mile vadiyai. Basically, through his hukam, some people are uplifted. And I just want to quickly point out one of the main reasons why this line is cited so much by many authors as well is because it shows that we cannot reach God through our own efforts only. That's a part of it. But to think that, by myself, 100% I can reach God, that doesn't work that way. Instead, it's through his own hukam, through his own command and order that we reach God. So this shows humility, that we need to have humility, that even though our own efforts are extremely important, they're not 100% of the picture. They're just a portion of it. So humility is emphasized in this line here, that we cannot reach God solely through our own efforts. It's a combination of our efforts and God's hukam. And in the third line, which is the last line we're going to cover in this video, in this lesson, This is a complicated line. Hukmi uttam neech, hukum lik duk sukh paiye. So it's important to understand that hukum, in terms of his order and command of events happening, it's a reactive force. It reacts to your own actions. So in this line here, through following or not following his hukum, some do good deeds, which are karam, right? Actions. So it's good karam, they earn good karam. And some do low deeds, which is negative karam. They do things opposite of what his value system is. So as a result, if you do good things, you garner good karam, you do things that are in line with his value, in line with his hukum, then you get closer to God and vice versa. So as a result, hukum dictates both happiness and pain through one's actions, through your karam. So let's look at it through the lens of, there's two parts of hukum, right? We went over this. There is the command and the event part of hukum, where Guru Sahib has an order, says, this will happen today. There will be this event, an earthquake or a birth, something happens. There's that aspect of hukum. And then there is the value aspect, where you follow his hukum, following his values and actions. So basically, if one were to follow the value part of hukum, as a result, the event part of hukum would be in that person's favor more likely than not. For example, you do things in line with his value system. The hukum for you, for example, events surrounding your life will be more positive because you are following the first part of hukum. And to use a metaphor for this is, you think about God as being, a parent, and he is a parent. To mat pita hum barak tere. He's our mother and father. We are his children. So if you think about us as children, and if we're in our house, and God is our mother and father, and of course the parents they run the house. They are in charge of everything in the house. You think about it, that if the kid, us, follows the rules set by the parents. So here, the value part of hukum in this house is, as a child, you can't play with your basketball in the house. You can't draw on the walls. You can't throw food on the ground. Okay, that is part of the parents' hukum to the children. In that is your value system. You are not supposed to do these things. Instead, you have to clean up your room. You have to go to sleep on time. So as a result, if the child follows the hukum of the parents and does what he or she is told, cleans up his or her room, goes to sleep on time, and avoids the bad things, doesn't make a mess, doesn't create any problems, doesn't throw food on the ground, as a result, the parents will have a very kind hukum in terms of resulting events for the kid. Because the child did everything he or she was told, the parents may give a reward and let the kid watch his favorite show, or stay up a little bit later, or give him his favorite dessert. Because he followed the command value part of hukum, as a result, the event side of hukum, of different things happening, are more in the child's favor because he did the first part. So similarly, bring it back to us in our lives. If we follow the value part of hukum, we do seva, we keep rehet, we don't take intoxicants, we do kirtan, path, and meditation, and we're kind to each other, treat people equally. We do all of these things that are in his value system. If we do that, more likely than not, the events surrounding our life will also be very positive. However, remember the line previous to this, the first one in this body, hukum cannot be understood. What does that mean? It means that sometimes, even though you follow the values set forth under hukum, the events still may not be in your favor. They may not be on the face value positive, in the sense that something could cause you trouble, even though you follow the values very well. So it's not a guarantee by any means that, hey, if I do the value part, the second part will always be my favor. Absolutely not. Hukum cannot be understood. That's why we see things happen to people who we think are good, and we wonder why. We keep wondering that because we fail to understand that we cannot understand hukum. Okay, so in the parent-child example, yes, it is more likely that the parents may give a reward to the kid for following the rules of the house, but it's not a guarantee, right? It's not promised that the parents will do something nice for the children. They may just accept the hukum and say, you know what, even though you did that, you still have to go to sleep early. You still can't hang out with your friends because you know what? We're the parents and we make the rules. So yeah, we said you need to do this, but at the end of the day, it is our control and we can do things and we don't have to tell you as a child why. We can just do it because we're the parents. And you will not be able to understand why we're doing this, but we're doing it for your own good. As a result, the guru does the same thing. The guru can do things that may at first seem that doesn't make sense. I follow the values. Why are these events happening to me? The guru says, you know what? You will not be able to understand what I'm doing, but have faith that I am your caretaker and this is for your own good. So I hope that makes sense. This is a very difficult line to understand, possibly one of the most difficult lines in the entire course that we're covering. So if you have questions on this line, please ask your facilitator and they'll try their best to answer. And if the answer is still not found, of course, they will reach out to us and we will get back to you. But this is a very significant line in Japji Sahib and Gurbani in general, because it helps understand hukum, that hukum can react to your actions and is more likely to be a result of what you've done in terms of following his value system, but by no means is it a guarantee. It's just a high likelihood, similar to the parent and child situation. So again, I understand this is a bit confusing, but please spend time on this, ponder it, try to understand it on your own. And then, of course, we're here for you if you need further clarification. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.